Here children, as we have completed our chapter 9, Heredity and Evolution, here I am going to share with you some of the questions and answers which will be helpful for you to prepare for your tests. The first one is, what is a gene? This is how you are going to write the answer. Gene is the unit of inheritance. Gene is the part of a chromosome which controls the appearance of a set of hereditary characteristics. So, if it is asked for 1 mark, then you have to write this much of the answer. Here you can see. Don't just write gene is the unit of inheritance and stop your answer. That is not you are going to do. Next question is not this time in your syllabus. Then is the question, what is a sex chromosome? Sex chromosome is a chromosome that operates in the sex determining mechanism of a species. Many animals have 2 different types of sex chromosome. For example, in human there is a large X chromosome and a much smaller Y chromosome. While we are writing, we write the same or with the same size in capital letters, children, but actually if the diagram or if it is seen under the microscope, the chromosome X is larger in size as compared to the Y chromosome. Okay, so this is how you are going to write for the answer, what is a sex chromosome. The next is, the sex of the children is determined by what? They inherit from their father and not their mother. Justify. The answer is, it is because a child who inherits an X chromosome from her father will be a girl, and the one who inherits a Y chromosome from his father will be a boy. But all children inherit a X chromosome from their mother regardless of whether they are boys or girls. Here children, in addition to this answer, you have to draw that line diagram also. That line diagram of X and Y and how the male and female children are formed, that diagram you will attach with this answer. Now here is another question, define variation in relation to a species. Why is variation beneficial to the species? See, as it is interconnected question with the evolution, you should know to write this answer. Variation refers to the differences in the characters or traits among the individuals of a species. Variations are beneficial to the species because they enable the organism to adapt themselves in changing environment. Variations form the basis of heredity. They form the raw materials for evolution and development of new species. So there is 3 points which you are going to write for this answer. See, here is another question. Describe briefly 4 ways in which individuals with a particular trait may increase in a population. The 4 ways in which individuals with a particular trait may increase in a population are as follows. Sexual reproduction results into variations. The individuals with special traits survive the attack of their predators and multiply while the other will perish. Genetic drift provides diversity without any adaptation. Variations in the species may lead to increased survival of the individual. This question again is interlinked, so a little bit knowledge from this answer you will get. Fossils and evolution, this question is not in your syllabus this time, so we will skip this. See, another question is, give an example each of characters that are inherited and the ones that are acquired in humans. So two examples you have to give. One which is having the inherited character and the other which is the acquired character, and that too in the humans. Mention the difference between the inherited and acquired characters. So the answer is eye color of hair, color of a person, eye color or hair color of a person is an example of inherited character, whereas body weight is an example of acquired character. The basic difference between inherited and acquired character is that inherited character is passed on from parent to offspring, and acquired characters are acquired by an individual during his lifetime depending upon his lifestyle. So here I can give you one example. Suppose you are reading a lot about bird watching. Okay? If somebody is reading a lot about bird watching or inculcating a knowledge about something, so that knowledge is not going to be transferred to their offsprings. So that is the acquired character and not the inherited character. The next question is, how is equal genetic contribution of male and female parents ensured in the progeny? Again, I am reading this question to you. How is the equal genetic contribution of male and female parents ensured in the progeny? During sexual reproduction, a female gamete or egg cell fuses with a male gamete or sperm cell, which are haploid, to form zygote. Zygote is diploid, which contains 23 chromosomes from mother and 23 from father. This you know. There are a total of 46 chromosomes, of which 23 are coming from the mother and the 23 from the father. In this way, an equal genetic contribution of male and female parents is ensured in the progeny. Now next we have, what evidence do we have for the origin of life from inanimate matter? What evidence do we have for the origin of life from inanimate matter? This is the portion of the evolution part, and this time it is not coming in your exam. Define evolution, and Darwin's theory is also out of your syllabus. The next question is, distinguish between acquired and inherited trait by giving one example of each. Why are traits acquired during the lifetime of an individual, not inherited? This is what just I was explaining you in the previous question. Here it is in detail. Read the question once again. Distinguish between acquired and inherited traits by giving one example of each. Why are traits acquired during the lifetime of an individual, not inherited? The answer is, acquired trait is a particular characteristic that is developed during the lifetime of an individual. Such characteristics are not genetically controlled and cannot be passed on to the next generation. The example is loss of weight due to starvation. Inherited trait is the transmission of particular characteristics from parents to their offsprings, generation to generation. Such traits are genetically determined characteristics that distinguishes a person. Example is color of skin. The acquired traits cannot change the DNA of the germ cells. Therefore, the acquired traits cannot be inherited over generations during the lifetime of an individual. Okay? And our next question is, the human beings who look so different from each other in terms of color, size and looks are said to belong to the same species. Why? Justify your answer. Again, the question is, the human beings who look so different from each other in terms of color, size and looks are said to belong to the same species. Why? Justify your answer. The answer is, human beings are said to belong to the same species because of the following reasons. DNA studies, number of chromosomes is same, all have a common ancestor, they interbreed among themselves to produce fertile young ones of their own kind. So here 4 points are there, learn them and write them. Now explain the mechanism of sex determination in humans. This question can also be asked in another form, that is, with the help of a flow chart, explain in brief how the sex of a newborn is genetically determined in human beings. Which of the two parents, the mother or the father, is responsible for determination of sex of a child? And the answer here is, mechanism of sex determination in human beings. In human beings, the sex of the individual is genetically determined. Earlier I have in my previous video I have shown you that there are some environmental factors also which determine the sex in some of the animals, not in human beings, in some of the animals. So those were few interesting things which I discussed with you in my previous video. So go through that. Here it is, in human beings, the sex of the individual is genetically determined. Sex determination is the process by which sex of a newborn individual can be determined. If you are asked to define what is sex determination, then this is the answer which you will write, that it is the process by which sex of a newborn individual can be determined. Human beings have one unpaired sex chromosome. Sex chromosome of male is XY and of female is XX. The sex of a child depends on what happens at fertilization. The gamete formation is shown to you here, and then the fertilization, and so the zygote is formed, and here you can know whether the offspring is male or female. The next question is out of your syllabus. This one is also not in your syllabus. Homologous and analogous organ, a little bit we have studied in our previous class, but this time it is not in the syllabus. You can just go for the definition of this. Another one is also 2 questions not for you. These all has been not in your course. Now here is a question. A blue color flower plant denoted by capital BB is crossbred with that of white color flower plant denoted by small bb. State the color of flower you would expect in their F1 generation plants. What must be the percentage of white flower plants in F1 generation if flowers of F1 plants are self-pollinated? State the expected ratio of the genotypes BB capital and capital B small b in the F2 progeny. This is a very common question and lot of we have done about it. Just here the alphabets are different, but I am sure you are going to do it. You can do this on your own. Here this is how you are going to write. The color of all the flowers in F1 generation will be blue. Percentage of white flower plant in F2 generation will be 25. The ratio of genotype BB and capital B small b in F2 progeny will be 1:2. Okay. This is not in your syllabus. If we cross purebred tall dominant pea plant with purebred dwarf recessive pea plant, we will get pea plant of F1 generation. If we now self cross the pea plant of F2 generation, then we obtain pea plants of F1 generation, then we obtain pea plants of F2 generation. What do the plants of F2 generation look like? State the ratio of tall plants to dwarf plants in F2 generation. State the type of plants not found in F2 generation but appeared in F2 generation, mentioning the reason for the same. So this is the answer. All plants of F1 generation will be tall. To the another question, it is 3:1, and then dwarf trait is recessive, which was not expressed in the F1 generation. The recessive trait gets expressed in the F2 generation after self-pollination. Okay? Inherited trait and acquired trait. Which of the two is not passed on to the next generation? Explain with the help of an example. See, this is the question just little bit changed and asked. Inherited traits are the characteristics transmitted from parents to their offspring. Acquired traits are characteristics which are developed during the lifetime of an individual. Acquired traits are not passed on to the next generation. For example, if we breed a group of mice, all their progeny will have tails. Now, if the tails of these mice are removed by surgery and allowed to breed, the next generation mice will also have tails. If these tails are also removed and allowed to breed, the progeny of mice will again have tails. Removal of tail by surgery is an acquired trait and do not change the genes of germ cells and hence are not passed on to the next generation. This is a very nice example. An individual cannot pass on to his progeny the experiences of his lifetime. Justify the statement with the help of an example and also give reason for the same. Experience achieved during the lifetime of an individual does not make any change in the gene of the individual. For example, if a person reads a book on birds, the knowledge he earns by reading the book does not make any change in the gene. Hence, this knowledge will not get automatically transmitted to his next generation. Such a trait is called acquired trait. So these are the questions. Go through it. You can pause the video and go through the same question again and again and prepare well for your test.